Nous sommes un acteur majeur de l'externalisation des métiers de la relation client,
Nous assurons une offre globale onshore et offshore
répondant aux enjeux de la globalisation,
et une expertise multiservice.
permettant de couvrir l'ensemble de la chaîne de valeur de la relation client.
Prestataire de l'input optimisé,
Nous accompagnons de prestigieux donneurs d'ordre locaux
régionaux,
et internationaux
opérant dans de multiples secteurs et industries.
dans la création de valeur
Et l'optimisation de l'expérience client.
avec une approche unique.
Et orientée vers l'excellence opérationnelle.
Pour cela,
Nous nous appuyons sur la compétence de nos collaborateurs.
passionnés et engagés dans une démarche constante
De qualité de service
sur notre proximité
et agilité reconnue.
et notre esprit entrepreneurial.
Notre culture d'entreprise
Fondée sur un management par les valeurs,
et un ADN humain
intègre une dimension sociale forte.
garante de la pérennité de nos activités.
Et si vous avez compris un seul truc à ce bullshit,
Nous sommes faits pour coworker together.
Bull-
Parce que quand c'est mieux,
c'est pas plus mal.
Tu vas te préparer? Il est 7h30. Alors j'ai 40
I'm 42. I have two children, teenagers.
adolescents et
I
aujourd'hui
stopped working for 12 years to raise my children.
de mon mari
Now my husband and I are separated.
pendant 12 ans pour éduquer.
Going back to work after a 12-year hiatus isn't easy.
C'est pas forcément si facile que ça. Et je
One day, while searching on the net, I came across a site called Lionbridge.
un site qui s'appelle Lionbridge qui propose des postes de traduction
They offered various translation jobs.
et qui a également
They also worked with Google,
pour
doing micro-working.
coworking.
That's how I got started,
Comme ça,
3.5 years ago.
puis ça fait 3 ans et demi. Hop, on est bon? Téléphone, chien. Tu veux ton téléphone? Bah, prends ton téléphone. Donc je me connecte via une adresse
I
Gmail.
connect via a Gmail address created for this job.
Ce travail.
Then I go to a specific website where jobs are posted.
Spécifique où les tâches.
The jobs involve things like comparing a real person's search on a website with a keyword.
Et d'une recherche d'une personne. Et on
Here we have
la moutarde
Dijon mustard
Dijon.
and mustard of
La
Dijon.
moutarde Dijon d'ailleurs, il n'y avait pas d'article. Et on nous demande de savoir si finalement.
I'm asked if they mean the same thing
même sens
for Google
à la recherche
searches.
Google. Donc,
So I say yes, they do mean the same thing.
Et une autre
Here's another
pareil,
similar
même
search.
chose, accrocher
Hang
tableaux sans
painting
percer,
without
comment
drilling
accrocher des
and
tableaux sans
hanging
percer.
paintings without
Donc,
drilling.
on considère bien évidemment
I, of course, say they mean the same thing. So I'm helping the algorithm to
on aide
improve.
l'algorithme à s'améliorer. Voilà. Est-ce qu'on peut considérer que c'est
With a lot of these tasks, I think almost anyone could do them.
beaucoup de gens ont le cerveau qui leur permettrait de faire ça également.
After 3.5 years, it becomes automatic.
Certaines choses deviennent assez automatiques. À force de travailler,
Working and doing the same thing for a couple of hours at a time, it becomes rather robotic.
On devient un peu robotisé. C'est un petit peu,
It's like you've become a robot.
on devient un petit peu robotisé. Alors je n'ai pas de
I don't really have a contract.
à tout moment
I can stop working at any time without notice,
sans les
which I would never do.
Bien évidemment, je ne le ferai jamais. Comme
And they can fire me whenever they want, without notice.
Quand ils le souhaitent, sans préavis.
There's no official
Il
contract.
n'y a pas de contrat. Je n'ai jamais rencontré les gens.
I never met the people I work for.
Tout s'est fait par
It's all done over the internet.
par internet.
I've never
Je n'ai
even
jamais parlé à
spoken to
personne.
anyone in 3.5 years' work.
3 ans et demi de travail. Alors je
I wish to remain anonymous because Google, in what is a semblance of a contract, refuses to let us talk about this work. In fact, I'm not allowed to talk about it or to speak out in public or even work in public places. No one can see what we do.
Personne ne doit être témoin de ce qu'on fait.
Je m'appelle Noumena.
My name is Nomena. I'm 32 years old. I'm married and I have 3 children who are 12, almost 5, and almost 3 years old.
5 ans et bientôt 3 ans. Le travail se passe sur une plateforme.
The work takes place on a platform called Alkmion. We have a login and a password. At 2 p.m. every day, I log on to the platform. On this platform, we deal with messages from Disneyland Paris on Facebook and Twitter.
De Disneyland Paris sur Facebook et Twitter. Il y a des réservations,
There are reservations, complaints, thanks, comments that we can delete that aren't important to the department.
Des commentaires qui ne sont pas importants pour le département.
I have to wait.
Il faut que j'attende et
As soon as there's a message, I process it.
je traite. Voilà. On a des modèles de réponse.
We have model answers that you just have to personalize a little bit. Change the first name or adapt it a bit according to the client's request.
À la demande du client concerné.
I work 6 days a week. For this work, I earn a monthly flat rate of €200, so it's €200 for 48 hours a week.
€100 pour 48 heures par semaine.
Apart from that, I found a job on another platform. The selection procedures were very tough. The process was difficult and very long. That platform says it wants to help young women from Africa and Asia earn a stable income to help them achieve their goals. But they didn't pay what they promised. After a while, some of us decided to boycott certain tasks and demand a rate increase. We sent a group email to the people in charge asking them to apply the €2.86 per hour they had promised when we started. Only then did they explain that the €2.86 was just an example of what you could earn, in theory. They said that by working for an hour, doing multiple tasks, we should be able to make €2.86. How can you make €2.86 in 1 hour if a task is paid 27 cents and each task takes at least 15 minutes to complete? That's simply not possible.
Yeah, this. Seriousse, Cassia, seriousse, croiser les bras ici, so. Yeah, this. On a croisé les bras ici. On est? C'est un san, c'est un san. Là, on a un café, Maya? Là, un café, non?
Bon appétit.
Petit.
Bon appétit, Garcia. Des enfants, ça.
Merci beaucoup. Thé.
Nous, on ne sait pas à qui appartient.
We don't know who owns the platform,
Sur leur site
but on their
web,
website there are several companies listed.
entre
The SNCF, which is the French National Railway, and French banks.
Il y a des banques françaises.
Nothing but big companies.
Il n'y a que de grandes enseignes. Je ne peux pas affirmer qu'ils sont.
I don't know if these companies are aware of what's happening, but they benefit from the exploitation carried out. That's undeniable. In the end, they pay very little for high-quality work. The company profits. It's all about money.
Bénéfice, c'est une question d'argent. Ce sont les riches qui exploitent.
It's the rich who exploit the poor to make more profit for themselves, without caring about the welfare of those who do the work for them.
Vraiment le travail pour eux.
That's the way it is.
Voilà.
They can pay more, but they prefer to make bigger profits and get richer and richer.
S'enrichir encore et encore.
So the operators and moderators remain operators and moderators until they die.
Modératrices jusqu'à leur mort, alors qu'ils.
These platforms open branches all over the world. They get more customers, they make a lot of money.
Et nous, on reste
But we remain moderators forever. Every month we work just to keep going the next month.
Si je touche mon salaire le 15, bah.
If you get paid on the 15th, you have to juggle the bills and really manage your money just to make it last a month when you get your next salary. That's how it works. It's a vicious circle.
Sans évolution, en fait.
After college, I travelled. I stopped in Barcelona. I found odd jobs before coming to work for Facebook. I'm not allowed to say anything about the company. Nothing about how it works, our working conditions, our salary, our contract, what we are doing, nothing. So this is very risky. I'm taking a big risk. It could ruin my life. It might sound like a movie, but you never know. You just never know. They have bottomless resources, whereas I have none. So it's not easy. Facebook partnered with an outsourcing firm. That firm found the employees and trained them according to Facebook's guidelines. But it was this outsourcing firm that actually handled the employees. I was a content moderator. I analysed the content to see if it was appropriate for the platform. On a typical day, you arrive at the office, go upstairs, leaving all your personal items in a locker. and sit at a computer which isn't yours. Then you spend some time reviewing the decisions made in previous days. The decisions are always monitored. After that, you start moderating content all day long. When you arrive, you clock in, not with a badge, but with your fingerprints. The amount of moderating people do at Facebook depends on their pace and the time they've worked there. From one person to the next, it varies between 300 and 600 reviews a day. Murder, suicide, rape, domestic violence, racism, discrimination, bullying. For me, the worst thing is the beheadings and the rape of babies. I think they're the worst. If you're still a bit naive or innocent, please don't take this job. Don't do it. Don't spoil that. There are things you don't want to see. It's not worth it. Once you've lost your innocence, you can't get it back.
My name is Chris. I'm from England originally, and I lived a long time in Asia. And then I came back to Ireland with my new wife, and we needed to find work, and this was the easiest job that I could find. The job title is Community Operations Analyst. It doesn't say anything about Facebook, it doesn't really explain the job. They tell you it's about analyzing trends and recognizing what's happening in the world and implementing standards and so forth. It sounds very exciting. But we're working in a Facebook building. We're using the Facebook systems. I have a Facebook ID. I have documents for Facebook that I have to sign. You're working for Facebook, but there's a gap, I think, and it's just to protect Facebook legally, I think. Most of my work was related to content moderation. So I was just looking at pornography or material content that people have reported as pornography. So mostly naked ladies. It was a very nice, my first month was a very pleasant month of work. But then you would see some disgusting animal sex or children or something occasionally. So it was a little bit of a shock. And then later, the priority for the UK team is hate speech, bullying, threats of violence, nasty stuff. And I would spend 6 hours reading arguments between people or complaints about Muslims or black people or English people or French people, just nasty, awful stuff all day. So when I started the job, I was kind of excited. I'm saving the world. I'm here to protect the people who use Facebook from bad actors. This is the name we have, people whose actions are bad. So you would just review the content and think about the rules. And after some time, you notice maybe you're agreeing with the content or disagreeing and getting angry. And then after a little bit more time, you're responding more to something bad that you see. Oh God, not this again. Oh, I hate this guy. Why did people do this? And you start to, it's not immediately, because you're ready. But over time, it starts to just slap, 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 slap. You start to feel the pain, I think. Oh, it's there. I can see every detail, and it comes back, and it's deep in my mind. It's buried in my head. Yeah, it's really, really hard. I have several friends that I worked with before who are now unable to work or not working, can't find a job. They're taking medication, anxiety medication, they're taking antidepressant medication. My doctor told me I'm depressed and I need to take SSRI, Prozac, because she thinks I'm depressed, and I don't believe in these diseases. I don't want to take medicines, but I'm not doing very well either. I've had 3 jobs since I left Facebook. I can't keep a job. I get into arguments with people about nothing. So we need help. We need a professional person to spend some time with us and help us to understand what problems we have and what we can do. The NDA means I can't have this conversation. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to my wife about the work that I do or did. You're not allowed to discuss any detail of anything related to Facebook's operations or Facebook's secret information or your working conditions. It covers everything. It's a gagging order for life. It's a lifetime agreement. Somebody has to speak because we're hidden, we're silent. We are not allowed to have a voice because Facebook wants to protect Facebook. Facebook doesn't want to protect the people that may be harmed. And it was like a light in your head. You just go, wow, yeah, this is the truth. I should ask a lawyer if it's okay.
Initially, I was contacted by Chris, who came to me and explained his work circumstances. It was very easy for me to do the research to see what he was complaining about and to understand and empathize with his position. It was also easy for me to understand his legal rights and how they were infringed by what has happened. And that, of course, will form the basis of the case against Facebook. Through Chris, many more people have come forward, and both male and female. And it's quite clear that a pattern emerged straight away of people who were hurt, people who were injured as a result of what happened to them in their workplace and the many hours they spent doing what they had to do, which unfortunately has led to their damage and will now lead to their vindication of their rights through the courts.
I think if you listen to politicians, nobody is aware of what's being done, what's happening. Because politicians are all complaining about fake news and election integrity and the spread of extremism, etc. There's this problem that they see and they just shout, we want a solution. But they don't know anything about the work. They're not talking about, how can we do this? They're just pointing to the social media companies and saying, this is your fault. But they're not engaged with, well, how do you do this? Because to write the rules is really, really difficult. To create a system that enables us to protect you, your children, somebody's bullying your kid, I have to deal with that. Somebody is spreading hateful ideology, I have to deal with it. I tried to think about this as if I'm Mark Zuckerberg. How do you solve this problem? And it's not his problem. His problem is that he has to make money for his shareholders. It's a legal requirement in America. He has to make the maximum profit. So He's not interested in content moderation unless it makes more money. And I never heard anybody talk about how Facebook makes more money because of this.
Le plus grand tour de passe-passe de ces plateformes, à mon avis,
I think these platforms' biggest trick is to make consumers, or users in general, believe that there are automatic processes and algorithms at work everywhere,
processus automatique, qu'il y a des algorithmes
when very often these tasks are done by hand.
des tâches qui sont réalisées à la main, et de l'autre de faire
And to make workers believe that what they are doing is not real work, they call it a job, a gig,
un job,
so it's transitory, ephemeral, and will eventually disappear.
et qui à terme va disparaître. Et ben parce que tout simplement,
Thanks to this approach, they avoid paying for work at its true value,
travail à sa juste valeur,
and they avoid providing any kind of social
au
security.
sens de protection sociale. Si on regarde,
If we look only at the workers, we overlook the fact that these workers also produce data.
elles produisent des données.
This data is used to produce automation.
Produire de l'automation.
For example, workers are geolocated.
Et collecté,
All this geolocation data is collected by the Uber platform.
qui s'en sert
The Uber platform uses this data, on the one hand, to make its service work, but also, and this is the most worrying thing, in the long run, Uber is using the data to create automatic processes.
pour les chauffeurs. Il s'agit donc d'utiliser ces
For
données
drivers, it's a question of using this data to train autonomous vehicles.
pour les livreurs. On le voit.
For delivery drivers, we see it on platforms like Amazon to train delivery robots.
Robots livreurs. Donc on
So we're
prépare
preparing for automation by using this massive data produced by these click workers.
ces travailleurs publics. Pour délocaliser aujourd'hui, donc pour mettre au travail des personnes qui soient moins bien payées,
To outsource today, to put people to work who are less well paid, whose rights are less respected, there's no need to open a factory in another country.
il suffit tout simplement d'attirer sur une plateforme des personnes qui sont
It's quite simply a matter of attracting people from other countries, where average wages are lower than the platform's countries of origin, to work for your platform.
les pays d'origine et d'installation de la plateforme. Ce type de logique de asymétrie
This type of logic, of economic and political asymmetry, some would even call it neocolonialism, is also applied by platforms locally.
dans leur pays,
In their own country,
donc des plateformes américaines exploitent
the American platforms ruthlessly exploit micro-workers and click workers in the US.
en France des plateformes françaises
In France, French platforms don't hesitate to pay very little to French micro-workers.
travailleurs français. Et donc ça c'est quelque chose qui pointe
This is something that points to a kind of global impoverishment and exploitation, both in the North and the South.
Il y a autant dans les pays du Nord que dans les pays du Sud. Face aux situations les plus extrêmes de subordination,
Faced with the most extreme situations of subordination, exploitation, and surveillance,
travailleurs
we
et
need
travailleuses,
workers who will help raise collective awareness.
la prise de conscience collective, qui soient donc des
We need whistleblowers who will speak out against a situation that is unjust
insurgent contre une situation
and must be protested.
juste, donc une situation contre laquelle il faut s'insurger.
Lanceur d'alerte, épisode 4, première. J'ai compris que j'allais travailler indirectement.
I realized I'd be working for Apple when I signed the contract and read the clause saying I'm criminally responsible under Irish law if I divulge anything to anyone about this work.
De ce travail. Siri n'est pas une intelligence artificielle.
Siri is not artificial intelligence.
Tout le soi-disant travail
All the so-called machine learning is done by humans.
Tout le travail soi-disant.
All this so-called artificial intelligence is just people feeding the machine continuously.
On continue. Et ça, c'était
That was my job.
Nourrir la machine.
Feeding the machine.
Jour à Cork.
On our first day in Cork, what they call induction day, we were told we were going to work to improve Siri's precision. So, they explained, we'd wear headphones and listen to recordings all day. I'd suspected for some time there was some kind of espionage element embedded in this type of device. When you accept the terms and conditions of use, you don't know what data is being collected or why.
Après, je ne me doutais pas qu'on en arrivait.
But I had no idea that we'd listen to people all the time.
Les micros des appareils.
The microphones on Apple devices are always on, and recordings are triggered randomly.
Et donc, on écoutait à longueur de journée.
So, all day long, we listened to people talking about their private lives, discussing very intimate things.
Enfin, le principe était que
the idea was to listen to people dictating a message or talking to Siri.
Ça, c'était le principe.
That was the principle.
Il y avait,
but in fact, there were lots and lots of recordings when the voice assistant triggered itself.
Le vocal se déclenchait tout seul. Ça donnait donc des
recordings were stored either on the iPhone or on some server.
Ou sur un serveur ailleurs, je ne sais pas. Et j'ai décidé d'en parler parce que
I decided to talk about it because it makes me so mad to see that we are completely unaware of the degree to which these companies interfere in our lives.
De ces compagnies dans nos
even people who want nothing to do with them.
Rien à voir avec eux. Enfin, je me disais qu'il fallait garder une trace de tout ça. Donc au moment où je me suis décidé à partir,
I thought we should keep track of all this. So, when I decided to leave, I risked everything and started taking screenshots of whatever I could. Then I plugged a memory stick into the computer. And every day, I got new screenshots.
Capture d'écran. Et honnêtement,
and frankly, I was scared. One of the strictest instructions was not telling anyone.
Sérieuse.
Even among ourselves, in our open plan office, we weren't supposed to discuss what we heard. And we were really not supposed to talk to journalists or people outside Apple.
À des journalistes ou à des personnes en dehors d'Apple. En prenant ces captures d'écran, j'ai la preuve.
By taking these screenshots, I had proof that there were millions and millions of recordings out there.
Chacun des projets qui étaient concernés.
For example, for the iPads, when I took the screenshots, there were 14 different countries involved.
Différents pays dans lesquels ces projets étaient.
Each of these work projects contains 600,000 to 1.2 million recordings for a total of 1,000 hours per country.
Pour un total de 1000 heures par pays. On peut dire
on average, there are 8 to 12 million recordings for each of these projects, which make up one tab on a very long scrolling menu.
Sur un menu défilant qui est très très long. Je me sens dépassé par l'ampleur de la chose, je me sens dépassé par...
I feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of it.
Par la taille
by the size of these companies,
de ces entreprises-là,
and also by the economic and political stakes behind them.
Les enjeux économiques et politiques qui viennent derrière.
But it's not that complicated to refuse to take part in it.
En fait. Et moi, j'aimerais témoigner à visage
I'd like to show my face as I hope others will follow suit.
Et que c'est déjà une première étape.
It's already a first step to defend oneself.
Pour se défendre.
And then to counterattack.
Parce que
despite what we're led to believe, it's not normal. It's not normal, and it's not a given. It shouldn't be.
Ça ne devrait pas l'être.
Super. Merci.
Aujourd'hui, il y a un début de résistance qui se met en place. Il y a des formes d'organisation émergentes.
Today, the resistance is starting to take place.
Des organisations qui
Click workers are organizing.
C'est des syndicats, c'est des organisations syndicales qui investissent.
Trade unions are reaching out to these new populations of workers to defend their rights, to organize them.
Défendre leurs droits, pour les organiser.
It's too much. So we voted to get paid by the hour, plus the orders. If you don't get an order, you still get paid. It's work.
We're on call like firefighters, but they get paid. But we're not paid when we're on call. We're connected and ready to deliver, but we're not paid. So I think it's only logical to be paid once you're connected to the app.
Ludovic, je suis coursier pour Deliveroo depuis quelque chose
I'm
comme
Ludovic.
7 mois maintenant. Et du moment où j'ai
I've been a Deliveroo driver for 7 months.
Et à côté de
I
ça,
work
je suis
part-time.
syndicat à la CGT.
I'm also a union rep in the CGT's Job Insecurity Committee.
Et ça fait quelques semaines que
For the past few weeks, we've been trying to get organized against the companies we work for.
justement à s'organiser contre les plateformes pour lesquelles on travaille. Et sur Lyon, en tout cas pour le moment, on
We're
essaie
trying to raise awareness and show Uber and Deliveroo that they can't do whatever they want.
de faire ce qu'ils veulent et que ça
They've tried to set up this status quo in recent years, and it's become widespread.
mais que de l'autre côté,
But the workers want to have a say in things.
décider aussi, parce que ce sont eux qui produisent.
Privé, tu vois, c'est qu'à nous, le syndicat pour la CGT. En fait, ce qu'on demande, c'est une connexion et une rémunération, et qu'il y a de meilleures conditions de travail, une meilleure assurance.
Les plateformes invitent leurs travailleurs.
The platforms invite their workers to be self-employed.
Ce qui est une vision extrêmement individualiste.
This is an extremely individualistic and capitalistic vision.
Il y a de plus en plus de travailleuses et de travailleurs qui disent.
Paradoxically enough, more and more workers are saying, I'll be responsible for myself. I'll take charge of my own destiny, but I'll do it collectively.
On voit par exemple apparaître des.
We see, for example, workers for Uber creating a cooperative.
Par exemple, qui créent leur alternative coopérative.
There were demonstrations against Deliveroo. I worked for them with other colleagues. Over the course of time, we started to realize that the working conditions they proposed were catastrophic. We asked them to improve certain things. Altogether, we decided to start a project. We set up a cooperative. We sought to refute the idea that you must go with the flow and that Uber is a model for the future. We want to prove that technology can also be ethical, that it's not incompatible with the way a cooperative works. It can be democratic.
D'una forma més democràtica, no?
Nosaltres no, treballem amb contracte, amb baixa, amb vacances.
At Mensaka's, we have contracts, sick pay, paid vacations, pay slips. Our organization is horizontal, not vertical, or a pyramid. There's no hierarchy. All the workers, without exception, have exactly the same rights and the same salary. Our company is a non-profit cooperative. All the money we make is reinvested in the cooperative.
At the moment, there are about 30 of us. I'm very confident as far as the future of Mensakas is concerned. We have to keep moving forward. For us, on the one hand, but also to prove on a more general level that there is an alternative.
Que és possible una alternativa.
Sí, bueno, aquest model ja...
Our model is starting to be exported.
En altres ciutats ja que s'estan creant.
Similar projects are emerging in other cities. In Madrid, our colleagues founded La Pájara Ciclamesa Jarea, which works as a cooperative.
A Europa també hi ha casos, ja sé que...
It's also the case elsewhere in Europe.
Hi ha diverses cooperatives.
People are starting cooperatives that were born out of a similar struggle.
A Bèlgica, a França...
There are some in Belgium, in France.
Sí, que crec que és un model que pot...
I think that little by little, it's a model that will grow.
Bastant força. Al final, el que hem d'agafar és una...
What we need to generate is a large-scale social awareness of what's going on.
global I social del que
It's true that technology makes our lives easier.
Les grans tecnologies
These new ways of consuming won't disappear.
I són noves tendències de consum que no desapareixeran.
But we have to be aware of the consequences that they can have.
Del que porta darrere i hem de ser conscients de cada cop que
Every time we consume a product, we have to ask ourselves where it comes from.
què et porta el menjar a casa?
It's time for the working class to step forward and propose alternatives.
S'hem d'aixecar.
If we don't get organized to defend our rights, no one will do it for us.
Organitzar-nos I empoderar-nos.
We have to make our voices heard so things can change.
Poc ho aconseguirem, si no serà impossible.
Ok, bonjour l'ambiance.
Les mecs qui nous disent...
Oui, vous optimisez les humains comme des machines.
Vous pensez qu'au profit...
Vous foutez bien la merde.
On vous entend.
Ne vous inquiétez pas.
Il y a des solutions.
Et là, vous me dites...
Oui, mais lesquelles?
Eh bien, celles qu'on va trouver ensemble.
C'est-à-dire?
Main dans la main.
Non mais d'accord, mais concrètement.
Chaque jour, un petit pas de plus.
Tu te foutrais pas un peu de ma gueule, en fait?
Non, nous nous foutons ensemble de nos propres gueules.
Et c'est ça qui est beau.
Allez.